Michigan cop has been charged for fatally striking a black man during a chase. Now, this is an update, an interesting update. Here it is.
Michigan State Police Detective Sgt. Brian Keely, as part of the MSP Fugitive Task Force, attempted to bring Samuel Sterling into custody when Mr. Sterling fled by foot. A number of MSP troopers and other local law enforcement agents proceeded to chase Mr. Sterling, both in their vehicles and by foot, when the vehicle Detective Sgt. Keely was driving turned and struck Mr. Sterling in a nearby fast food restaurant parking lot. Mr. Sterling was transported to the University of Michigan Metro Health Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries later that day. We have found that Detective Sgt. Keely's actions that day were legally grossly negligent and created a very high risk of death or great bodily harm, which could have otherwise been prevented.
The cop has been charged. Put up the picture full mass. Sad this had to happen, but it is a start, holding those accountable who could care less about the lives they're supposed to actually protect and serve. 50-year-old Michigan State Police Detective Sergeant Brian Kelly has now been charged with murder for fatally striking a fleeing 25-year-old suspect named Samuel Sterling with an unmarked SUV near Grand Rapids last month. The April 17th incident occurred during an attempted arrest, with Sterling being chased by vehicle and on foot. All right, so Keely is charged with one count of second-degree murder, which carries a potential life prison sentence, and one count of involuntary manslaughter, a felony carrying a 15-year sentence. Michigan's Attorney General Dana Nessel, on the left, announced Tuesday that she was bringing charges against Keely in connection with the death of Sterling in the center. Sterling's family welcomed the news. His mother, Andrika Cage, on the right, told NBC affiliate Wood of Grand Rapids she cried with happiness when she heard the news. Keely and the state police 6th District Fugitive Task Force were trying to arrest Sterling. It was a probation issue. He was wanted on several felony warrants, April 17th. According to the AG, he was spotted at a gas station in Kentwood, a suburb of Grand Rapids. And he ran away after police approached him. That's according to the official statement. The Attorney General's office, said, a number of MSP troopers and local law enforcement agents proceeded to chase Sterling, both in their vehicles and by foot. When the unmarked vehicle, that's Detective Sergeant Keely, was driving, turned and struck Sterling in a nearby fast food restaurant parking lot, just killed him, okay? NBC News reports Sterling was taken to University of Michigan Metro Health Hospital, but died from his injuries later that day. The body cam video released by state police shows him on the ground and badly injured, crying out in pain. In the video announcing the charges, the Attorney General said, Detective Sergeant Keely's actions that day were legally, grossly negligent, and created a very high risk of death or great bodily harm, which could have otherwise been prevented. Van Johnson, the Sterling family attorney, told Wood that Keely clearly used a police car as a deadly weapon. Steering into Sterling and driving over a curb to cut him off, Johnson added, some would say that he intentionally hit him, which is what it looked like to me on the video, okay? Mark Curtis, an attorney for Keely, told WOD that Keely was a religious man who was heartbroken for Sterling's family, and that the charges were the result of political pressure. It is unfortunate that in this time of political correctness, Michigan's Attorney General has chosen to ignore the facts of this incident and rely on political pressure, he said in a written statement. It is also unfortunate that our governor, without having seen or heard all the evidence in the case, chose to interject her opinion and side against law enforcement in this matter. He continued. Curtis added that while it is tragic, the accident could have also been avoided if Mr. Sterling would have simply complied with the commands of the detectives Curtis previously said his client had no intention of harming Sterling. State police voluntarily referred the case to the AG's office May 10th. Keely has been suspended since the incident. Public integrity is a top priority for my department, and we remain committed to providing a thorough and just review and resolution in each case brought before us. That's what the AG said. And Keely's arraignment date has not yet been set. We are going to monitor that. Here's the thing. This narrative from the attorney that says, none of this would have happened if he just would have been compliant. Normative, played out, okay? Just because you should see a judge that day does not mean the cop has the right to make you see your maker. It is not the same. The man who was running away has the right of due process. When this sergeant decided to hop a curb, engage recklessly, reckless disregard of life, he took the constitutional rights away from the young man who was fleeing. Period. That is a system approach. All right? Okay, Jordan, thoughts here?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The punishment for whatever he allegedly did is not being hit by a car and ultimately dying. And when you say you're not trying to cause harm, I don't buy that. You don't hit somebody with a several thousand-pound vehicle, moving vehicle, and expect any other outcome than injury or possibly death. That's the realities of hitting somebody with a car. I can't believe they're even trying this excuse, but it seems like there's no depths with which they're unwilling or uncomfortable with reaching.
Yep. And I'm glad the AG's office also charged, because some people are like, why did you also include the manslaughter charge? Well, the manslaughter charge allows a jury to say, okay, let's say it may have been unintentional. He still knew or should have known that doing this could in fact cause great bodily injury or death. And if the jury decides that was the case, then he still gets 15 years in prison. All right, so I'm okay with the other charge there.